Hello, and welcome everybody to the Streakers On podcast. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. Now, we talked about on the live show before how Mr. Chazzy and Dan were testing canoes. Dan got back. Well, Chazzy, he found the turtle section of the island. It's just 1,000 mine turtles. Anyone who's seen the ASDF videos, they know what those are. Hello! So he's currently walking through a minefield of turtles, so I'm not sure when he'll be back, but he should be back for the Thursday episode. So today, joined by Mr. More for your money,
Woo!
And the man that is so damn dashing that, like, I am debating on just turning off my camera and just putting Lane full screen the entire show, like literally just that. That's the entire show. It's your boy Lane Dashing Dashko.
That's sweet.
And we have an action-packed show today. We're going to go over the CFL Power Rankings. Plus, we're going to break down the Canadian Football League's offenses. So we're going to go over the top quarterbacks, top offenses in general, top running backs. And then for a little different, I'm going to ask Lane, Dan, and I'm going to answer it too, who I think the best wide receiver in the Canadian Football League and who is the most overrated wide receiver in the Canadian Football League. I didn't put that on the script, so they have a little bit of time to think about it, but not all day like they do with everything else. We're going to get into NFL preseason, and that includes our first ever segment of Gas or Ass. So we're going to get into that. Toronto Blue Jays snapped a mini losing streak, but there's still some concerns from your boy. And this drama in the land of tennis. I don't know if Lane's a tennis watcher, but I'm a tennis watcher. And so is Mr. Moreforth, surprisingly. He actually really likes tennis. And I'm not being sarcastic. But let's dive right into the Toronto Blue Jays. And I would call this series so-so. They won 1 out of 3. To be honest.
No boom!
They were very lucky to not get swept in this series. I didn't think they were looking great today or yesterday, whenever you're watching this. But at the end of the day, they did find a way to win. They got some good relief pitching, which the bullpen really bailed them out in this one. So, I mean, good teams find ways to win. The Toronto Blue Jays did, but I don't think the calmness is quite here yet. You saw Lanier have his worst start in a while, allowing 3 runs, 6 hits, and only 3 innings. And then you had to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional pitchers to get through the game. Now you managed, and getting back-to-back home runs in the 8th inning is kind of what got you back in this game. And all those relief pitchers only allowed 1 run. That's very impressive.
Why are you leaving so many of them?
Actually, Jeff Hoffman, surprisingly, he's usually money in the bank. But I will say today, though, this was the first, I think this is a statement game from the bullpen from Toronto. Saying, like, look, we're not as bad as everyone's going on. We are, we've been a little shaky, but we can come through when needed.
And don't forget, it's just going to get better because Bieber is looking really good in Buffalo right now. You know, it's the first time he's played all year due to injury. I think it's great that they put him in a minor stint to Buffalo first because even though they lost a couple games, they're still leading the division. So, you know, it's not do or die at the moment or anything like that. So it makes sense to get him ready before you put him up to the big lead. So that's going to be a big weapon. And the other thing, too, is the Jays are a little banged up. You got Springer, who, well, now glad you got a home run today, so he's tied for the league. But before that, Springer led for the league. Sorry, not the league. Well, yeah, it was. He led for Jays with 18 home runs. Lead home run guys over 40 home runs. But anyway, he's got 18 leading the Jays. And you got Mendez, who's been they got in the offseason for his great defensive play, as we saw glimpse of it this season, but that's still coming back. Will be healthy in time for the playoffs. And he's had a couple decent ones of hitting, too, which is unusual in his career this season. And you have Santander, who's going to come back healthy for the playoffs. And even though he hasn't done much in this J so far, we gave him big money in the offseason, and he's going to be a big power hitter for us in the playoffs. So, you know, this team is still not even fully healthy yet, and we're still doing pretty good, doing the division. So.
I mean, luckily for the Jays, too, the Red Sox did also lose, so they still have that 3-game advantage coming up. But I think here's where I think the Jays need to kind of try to get some headway. So the Jays' next series is against the Chicago Cubs, who, you know what, they've been, in their last series against the Cardinals, they only won one of the three. The one game they won, they scored 9 runs. They are a 67-50 ball club, but
they're a good club too.
Looked as good of late. And the Red Sox are playing the Astros, who are just coming off demolishing the Yankees. So this could be a good chance for the Jays if you can find a way to win 2 out of those 3. Maybe the Red Sox only win 1 out of those 3. Maybe you can start to build a little ground. But the key is now to make sure that this series doesn't overlap into the next one, where I don't know, Lane, if you would agree with me or not, but Morpho and I were talking about this off camera. I think the series against the Rockies almost hurt the Jays going into this series against the Dodgers, because you went from playing basically a AAA team to one of the best teams in the MLB.
You could argue that, it's definitely the momentum, because, they say you adjust to your strategies, right? And, we talk about getting cocky and feeling, and maybe they got too cocky coming into this series because they put up just so many runs. And, sometimes that kind of gets to your head, and then you come into a team that, is a little bit obviously way more talented and way more structurally put together. And then obviously now you're kind of like struggling to beat these teams that were maybe if you played a team similar like the Yankees before the Dodgers, you might be a little bit more well prepared. And you do see this in hockey all the time. That's why you do sometimes see the Leafs, they'll beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, but then they'll lose to like the Minnesota Wild, or they'll play the Buffalo Sabres and win, and then they'll lose to like the Edmonton Oilers. Like you do see this a lot in hockey, in different sports, because of just momentum and trying to adjust to the teams you're facing. So I definitely I could see that being a part of it.
That's kind of my thought process, but now, you know what they had? I'm going to say it. They had a real series against the Dodgers. That Rocky one was just bizarre. You have so many pitchers who didn't even pitch because the games were so out of hand. And now, you know what? Against the Dodgers, I will say, I feel as much as you were blown out in some games, you were right there to about the last couple innings, and then the game got blown open. So I don't think they played as bad as some of the scores looked. Now I'm turning into Dan because I'm sounding a little more positive. But I will say it is concerning that in August they've been so-so. It is a little concerning, right? Because August, we always say August and September baseball is worth all the marbles. And right now they're not getting a lot of marbles. But Dan, you have been preaching 98 wins all year. Well, I don't think they're going to get 98 wins still. But like, are you still confident even with the August being a little shaky? And, I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think they've been double dog poop, but I don't think they were playing as well as they did in July. Do you still think the division is in reach for this club?
100%. If they can play 6-4 out of the 10 in the month of August, I think they'll be okay. Just to add a couple notes, with the Colorado series, as much as it might screw their momentum a little bit, it did make the wanting, I don't know how a word was, help me. When the Yankee announcer was saying the one differential, it made the one differential a lot better for the Jays and make it look like a first division ball club now. So that's a positive of that series. And speaking of the LA series, I have a question for you guys that are not on the script because I don't like the script. So here we go. I was driving in my car. I'm listening to Z1035, my favorite radio station in Toronto. So even if you're not in Toronto, you can listen to it on the iHeartRadio app. And you know what else you can listen to on the iHeartRadio app? Our Streakers Island podcast. That's right. You can listen to it in the car too. But anyway, that's not the point of this statement.
Well, let me go turn on my car.
Yeah. So my question is... So my question is, hopefully Jay comes back for my question. There he is. They were saying on the radio today, Z1035, that some people are predicting the LA Dodgers versus the Toronto Blue Jays a World Series matchup.
Oh, come on.
You don't agree?
No.
I will tell you one thing.
I don't either.
I think the MLB is terrified that we could get a Jays versus Seattle World Series and no one's going to care.
Seattle's
a top-tier team in the MLB. And you look,
They're American League though.
Well, not World Series then, but it's like a final, like a conference finals. But like
the
league is, I will say, I think the league would be concerned if you get two teams with the Blue Jays. Funny enough, is not considered a large market in baseball, even though they're selling out every night now. And actually,
but they only hold 41,000 fans. 42,000.
They're actually on pace to have more fans this year than New York and Boston.
I get that, but I'm just saying we're only holding about 42.
By the way, have you looked at ticket prices for this next series against the Cubs?
Yeah, I know it's hard.
Like, ow. People for like seats that were like $300 before starting them for like $1,400.
Well, I know.
500s are going for $225 a seat.
Oh, it's crazy. Like you could be generous and say you get 42,000 in Rogers Center. Now, for example, in LA last night in the Dodgers, not last night, we'll say, but other games, the LA Dodgers can hold over 50,000 people.
It looked pretty much like a sub out there.
Seattle, it can hold almost 60,000 people on their stadium. So that's why.
Yeah, but they don't get anywhere near that in attendance.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that's why the Jays are considered to be market, because there are some stadiums in America that hold 20,000 more people than us, and they do sell out. Versus even we sell only 42,000.
But I'm curious though how you guys feel about this Cubs series coming up.
It's going to be a big one. I'm excited.
I think it's important for them to win this series just to kind of start to right the ship.
I think it's a statement series for sure. I mean, the LA Dodgers won the World Series last year, right? The Cubs just broke for a 100-year drought a couple years ago. Very World Series contender for sure. I would say even this year. So we're not as dominant as year passes, I would still say we're still a contender. I mean, a big statement this team made was to bring the bloom out to the Yankees in the 4-game series. And I think this compares to that series. I think it's that important.
I do agree with you. I think
that's why ticket prices are expensive as they are.
I think it is a very important time in baseball. So time will tell. The Jays are currently 4 games ahead of the Red Sox. They were able to improve a little bit as the Red Sox have hit a little bit of a slowed down a little bit. And luckily for the Jays, the Yankees continue to suck at 3-7 in their last 10. Jays are 6-4 in their last 10, and that was kind of the threshold that we all agreed. And Lane, I think you agreed with us when we said that, that 6-4 over 10 games was kind of what they needed to do, and they're on pace to do that right now.
Yeah. And the good thing is, okay, this series against the Dodgers, I mean, you're not going to look at it and be happy with it. You got your butt kicked 2 games, but you did win the 3rd game. Mm-hmm. The Red Sox did lose today. So that's a big advantage. And now you're facing, you got the Cubs who are kind of on par with you. So I think this is a big series here. We just talked about how your momentum is. I'm hoping the Jays can take this momentum from facing a more difficult team, now facing a team that's a little bit, I would say a little bit more in their skill range.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Jays are 67-50. The Cubs are 65-50. So they're around the same ballpark in wins and sort of skill level. I want to see how they take this, how they can adjust from playing the Dodgers and now playing the Cubs. Because if they can play the Cubs and, again, take a few games here, which the Cubs had a difficult series against the Cincinnati Reds here, they can do well here. They've got some pretty, I wouldn't say easy games, but you got like the Marlins and the Pirates and the Twins who have traded a bunch of players. So there's a bunch of teams here that the Jays can really kind of, I wouldn't say broom or sweep, but definitely take a lot of 2 out of 3s here to go strong through August if they can really take advantage of it.
Well, for sure. And even with the Twins, we did make that trade with the Twins, or our new first baseman and our pitcher. And rumors rumbling that Bieber could be healthy to play in this Cubs series. And the downfall is he's been injured, but the plus side is he's very well rested versus Wesley bullpen in August. That's when you kind of start getting your arm and your shoulder and different things a little in pain and a little worn out, right? Also, rumor that Hernandez could be back for this series too. And Springer, even though he's not going to be back, his concussion's getting a little bit better. And rumor is he's going to start a stint in AAA Buffalo sometime this week. So he's starting to get some of the injuries starting to come back too. So these are some big pieces that are injured too. Like I said, Springer was a leading home one guy. Jimenez is a big off-season signing with really good defensively in second base fair. And pitcher was your big trade deadline splash. So these are big pieces there coming
and
back.
I do agree with what you're saying, Dan, about the bullpen getting some more work, and Bieber getting back in soon is great. But I also want to kind of jump on a little bit what Lane was saying about the Jays taking on the Cubs and how it's a similar skill level. The Cubs are currently, by the consensus snapshot of the odds makers, these aren't my odds, because by my odds, I'm putting the Jays at number 1 to win the World Series. I'm kidding.
No,
but the Jays are currently ranked between 4th and 6th in the odds makers to win the World Series at plus 1,100 to plus 1,300, where the Chicago Cubs are currently ranked at around 10th between plus 1,100 and plus 1,600 from a general census. So you are looking at those odd makers between the Jays, and the Cubs. They're pretty close, right? So where the Dodgers are consistently ranked as your number 1 consensus to win the World Series again this year. So that was a tough series, right?
Because they made the Yankees look stupid last year.
I mean, the Tigers were 3rd, and the Jays beat the Tigers pretty easily. So,
they did.
You know what? I think this series against the Cubs, if you can win 2 out of 3, that's going to bring in some confidence into this group. Because I do think after this, that I think what Lane said about them being a little too cocky, kind of what I've been saying about the Tiger Cats when they were going into that and trying to extend that to 7 wins. I think the Jays were a little cocky after destroying the Rockies. And then they just didn't come to play ready to this series and until the 3rd game, realistically. And the 3rd game, you know what? They got down early. It looked like that game was going to be a total wash. But the Jays found a way to hang around and claw back, which is what they've been doing back on that winning streak. So I felt they looked closer to what they were doing before last night. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction for the Jays. And I'm calling it here. The Jays will win the series against the Cubs. I really think they will.
Okay, cool. I like it.
And if they don't, and depending how they play, then we'll be having a very different conversation about the Blue Jays maybe by Thursday. Who knows? Because you know what? I feel August started off kind of slumpy. Then it was red hot. Then a little sloppy again. But I feel like they're starting to get back on track. And they're hitting that threshold that I set for them.
Advantage with this Cubs series coming up if they are back at home. The Jays are much better at home than the road. Now, that is concerning going into the playoffs, let's be honest there. Because now you really have to win that division to get home field. And even if you got a home field advantage, you are still going to have some away games in the playoffs. So perhaps it's going to be a lot easier.
However, their away record is now 31-31. That's not terrible.
I guess not terrible
on the road. That's considering baseball, how every stadium's different, which I still don't understand that. By the way, it makes no sense that some stadiums you can hit a home run, it's got to go 30, 40 less feet than other stadiums. It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, look at Boston, for example. The actual stadium in Boston is extremely small. It's one of the oldest stadiums in baseball, but you got the Green Monsters. They got to hit the ball a million feet up in the air, even though it was only a 300-foot distance, right? And then you got, I think it's one of the Chicago games, the wall is only 5 feet tall, right? So it is
crazy. But I think it is time we move on to the Canadian Football League's Power Rankings. Nice. Some new graphics I've made for the show, and taking a look at our Power Rankings here, they have jumped around drastically from last week.
That's for sure.
Currently have the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 1. I have jumped the Calgary Stampeders up to 2.
Yeah.
I thought coming back from 17-0 was impressive. Hamilton Tiger Cats, I'm still having at 3. I'll be honest, I almost bumped them down into tier 2. 1 to 3 is my tier 1. 4th, I have the BC Lions, and I was very tempted to swap the Lions and the Ticats, but I left it the way I left it.
I think that's right.
The Montreal Alouettes, I have dropped to 5. Ottawa Red Blacks have jumped up quite a bit to 6 because, that offense put on a gun show, putting up Drew Brown throwing 5 TDs, no interceptions. Now that's the B tier. The C tier, I have the Edmonton Elks going from 9th to 7th. I feel the Elks, I know they've only won one of their last 3, but I think the Elks are playing some really good football. And if you're playing them coming up like Toronto, you got to have some concern. 8, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You blow a 17-0 lead. You have a quarterback that can't read a blitz. You have a defensive unit that can't seem to stop VA to save your life. You get a kicker that can hit a 63-yard field goal and you still lose. Yeah, you're the 8th worst team in the league. And last but certainly not least, this one pains me, the Toronto Argos. You can't blow a 22-1 lead. And that was a do-or-die must-win game, and now their chances to make the playoffs are slim to none. So those are my power rankings, and I'm sticking to them.
Oh, boy.
I see Dan looked very put off about Winnipeg at 8.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I hate, as much as it pains me to say this, I agree with the Argos in the basement. You can't blow a 22-1 league and expect to win the CFL. That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
We're going to get more into the Argos and certainly in the episodes. There are some lost moves to talk about the Argos this episode. I do agree with your top 3 in the order you have. I know Saskatchewan, don't think we played last week, but
they did.
I still think they're the number 1 team. You can't only lose one game and not be number 1. I agree with, who did you have? Calgary as 2. I think that was a very impressive win. Even though Hamilton lost this week, I still got to give him credit at being in an overtime. And he got BC at 4, right?
BC at 4, because at the end of the day, they won that game in overtime.
And who's 5?
5, I have Montreal at 5, Ottawa at 6, and I'll be honest with you.
You can even argue Ottawa over Montreal.
That's the one I don't.
That's the one spot I sat here for about 15 minutes. Wondering why the script came out late. I was literally sitting there. I'm like, is it Ottawa? Is it Montreal? Is it Ottawa? Is it Montreal? My only reason I have them the way they are is because I think with Davis Alexander back at the helm, I think this is a different team.
I would keep Montreal where they are. I would put Winnipeg above Ottawa.
No. Okay, you're saying you agree with Toronto being the worst team in the league because they blew a 22-1 lead. Winnipeg blew a 17-0 lead. And that lead was halfway through the second quarter. Toronto was at the end of the first. You could argue that realistically Winnipeg's lead was almost as bad. And Winnipeg didn't score a single touchdown in the second half. Toronto's offense was crazy that entire game.
I know the game wasn't pretty this past week with Winnipeg, but I still look at the core of this group. They made 5 Grey Cups in a row.
Okay, but I don't care. The Toronto Argos won the Grey Cup last year. They're still the worst team
in the league. They're going to have to figure out how to make the Grey Cup, because if they don't make the Grey Cup, those tickets are going for $5 each, and we're driving out Winnipeg.
Honesty, I think it's a 40-60 shot Winnipeg makes the playoffs this year. And if they make the playoffs in the East, they are going to get their butts kicked by either Montreal or Hamilton. Because Hamilton if it's Montreal, Davis Alexander will be back, and that's a very different team with Davis Alexander. And if it's Hamilton, with that secondary struggling the way it is, Bo Levi Mitchell is going to rip it apart. Kenny Lawler is going to put up 200 yards because Kenny Lawler is going to want to give a big middle finger, we'll say, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for not keeping them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sorry, because and you'll see it in a minute when we go on to the next part, but Zach Collaros is just not where he used to be. He's not that guy anymore.
Okay,
he's not.
My opinion.
And to say Ottawa's only got 1 win less than them. Winnipeg's lucky they have 2 wins from Chris Streveler.
See, Dan,
very lucky.
Dan, here's the thing. I know what you're trying to say. I do kind of get where Dan's coming from. He's trying to say.
Whoa!
Oh, Lade is so sick of Dan's opinions.
He's just smacking it down like WWE style.
Boom! Get this weak sauce.
That's why it's on the WWE channel.
But no, I actually get your point about saying Winnipeg. You know what? They've been to the Grey Cup 5 times. Blah blah blah. But I could say Toronto's won 2 out of the last 3. They should be higher in the rankings. And if this was earlier in the season, I would agree with you. But we're at the halfway point. And at the halfway point, I don't care about Grey Cup pedigree anymore.
The difference is between Toronto and Winnipeg this year is Winnipeg still 500.
No, they're not.
Well, the 1 game under 500.
And they're very lucky to be that way.
But the point is, we're there. Toronto is 2
No, but Dan, the power rankings aren't necessarily the standings. the power rankings are what teams are playing the best football at this moment.
I hear you.
And right now, Ottawa's playing better football than Winnipeg.
Right.
Winnipeg has a negative offense to defense differential. Like, you have to look here. Like, Winnipeg is not, they're like mid-pack for points allowed, and they're towards the bottom at points for.
True.
When has that happened?
Yeah, I know.
Like, that is bizarre for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So, like, again, Dan, I get what you're saying because they're 4-4, but the power rankings are more what have you done lately, not what have you done all season. You won.
I hear you.
You've won one of your last three. The one game you won, you should have lost.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me, that's where you are. And Toronto is where they are because this team just can't find ways. They find ways to lose, not find ways to win.
Right.
And I'm going to call it out. They're blaming the wrong people, like at least the fan bases, not necessarily the team, but like they're blaming Nick Arbuckle, who I think is playing pretty damn well if we were going on a power ranking on Nick Arbuckle over the last 3 weeks, he'd be a top 4 quarterback right now.
Oh, for sure. I agree with that.
Right? Like he's playing at a high level. So you look Toronto's last because at the end of the day, they are just really, really struggling to win football games.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, why do I have Edmonton as high as I do when they're 2-6? Because Edmonton in their last 3 games, I feel has actually played very well. Yeah, they've only won one of them, but they've been playing really good football. That's the difference.
For sure. I agree.
But Lane, if you want to jump back into what you were saying.
Yeah, sorry.
You're in the darkness, but you're back.
Yeah, I'm going to try to fix it in a minute, but like I was saying to Dan, like I do kind of say where Dan is coming from because I think Dan's looking at it from a point of view of like how good the Blue Bombers were. I think like he's saying, well, they went to all these great cups and they've done this and they stuck around. It's been Zach Collar. I think I know what Dan's trying to say, but the power rankings, like you said, these are not like overall power rankings for the last 5 years. If it was, I think the Blue Bombers would be top 3, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about this season. We don't care what happened 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, I get that.
But I think that's where, like, Dan, I think you're kind of, you're saying, well, they've done this. Yeah, they've done that, but they're not doing it right now.
And again, your power rankings are more not so much about what happened in week 2 or 3. It's about what's happened in the last week or 2.
No, it totally makes sense.
That's why I have Winnipeg where I do and Toronto where I do, right? Like Toronto, it's a tough one for me because I think they're actually, in a lot of ways, they're playing good football. But in a lot of ways, they're playing terrible football. And at the end of the day, they're finding ways to lose. Now, I do want to quickly mention the Argonauts head coach was very, very vocal, saying that there's pretenders in this unit and change was coming. There has been some change. It's nothing crazy. You're seeing 2 players getting, sorry, I had the article up on my computer and it has disappeared and I found it. They have cut running back LeBourne and fullback Culver. Now, mind you, the interesting thing is both of these guys are used in special teams more than anything. So I think that's where this is coming from. LeBourne, you know what? To be honest, 18 carries, 58 yards. And I know as of Culver, when we were at the game in Ottawa, he was talking a mile a minute, yelling, let's effing go. And it's interesting. It kind of goes to Dimwitty's comments about a player that's all talk and not enough walk. Maybe that's where he's coming from there. This is also to make room for Felix Grand Gunther, who has been a very good special teams player over the last 3 to 4 years. I don't think the Argos are done. Truthfully, I think we could see more players either cut or added over the next couple days. I still wonder about Mackay Polk, but depending. But I also don't know if Polk's going to want to have 0 chance to play in the NFL this year to come to a team that's probably not going to make the playoffs. So time will tell. But the Argonauts did make some moves on Sunday late evening. I think there could be more. I do honestly think there's more coming.
I'm surprised that Pinball made the moves on Sunday. It shows how serious he is. As you said, Jacob, Pinball's got to quit being a nice guy. That's my point. As much as Pinball's smile is beautiful, he is all about business. And the fact that he made moves to like 10 o'clock on Sunday evening is an old business move. Usually people wait till Monday, or like you said, Jacob, wait till after Tuesday practice. And Pinball's like, nope, I'm doing this now to make a statement. I think he's cut to really make a statement that he means business at 10 o'clock on Sunday evening. And I think that we could see more happening this week.
And I got to say, like, when I say these things to criticize Pinball, I love Michael Pinball Clemens. I think he's great for the league. But I do agree with you, Dan, here. I think maybe he is showing that, look, yeah, I'm a nice guy, but at the same time, changes need to be made.
He's a nice guy, but his number one concern is about winning.
Here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. He released 2 guys. What does that have to do with the issue? You guys told me all night how it's been special teams. Why is the special teams guy not been fired? I don't understand this.
Yeah, I honestly still think the special teams coordinator could be fired by like Monday or Tuesday. I think by the time this episode goes live, I don't know what the heck Dan's doing. Looks
rip the Band-Aid off.
But yeah, I do think this could be done within the next couple of days. I do agree with you, Lane. Now, mind you, like I said, both of these guys were on the special teams unit, and they have both. Especially LeBourne is supposed to be Grant's main first line of defense. He's the first blocker back there, and he's been missing blocks every single kick return.
Wow.
And Culver is supposed to be the first one getting down there to make a tackle. And looking statistically, he had 6 missed tackles on Saturday. So, you know what? I think the moves were made. I do think there are more coming. And Lane, I do agree with you, though. I want the special teams coordinator fired.
Now, one reason why he may
give me the job, Pinball. I will load it up in Madden 25 or 26 when it's out, and I'll make it work in a video game that's not realistic. But I'll figure something out.
One reason why I think maybe he hasn't fired the coordinator yet is I bet he's on his BlackBerry scrambling, trying to find a replacement. Maybe he doesn't want to fire someone until he has a replacement.
Call Paul LaPolice. I'm dead serious. Call Paul LaPolice and say, hey, bud, you got to be sick of TSN by now. Oh, I'm sure TSN's a great network. Come on home. Come back to the league, and let's get this done.
Wait, he's from Toronto?
No, but I mean, come back home. I mean, I think Paul LaPolice is too good of a coach to be on a panel.
Yeah. Or even I wonder if you even went after like a guy like I saw he was actually at the Hamilton game. Surprised they didn't give him a credit, but what if you had brought in like Speedy B to help run a special teams, like someone who's had that experience being on a successful, and he's been
Banks
a part of.
Didn't leave Toronto on the best terms. He was very angry because it said it took him too long to get his Grey Cup ring. He posted it all over social media. I don't think he'd come back to Toronto.
Maybe not.
He was very angry that
maybe not Speedy B, but maybe that same idea you bring.
No, I do get what you're saying, though. But funny enough, he expected Toronto to hand deliver it to him to the States, and they're like, no, we'll like FedEx it.
Call me crazy, but do you know who I could see? I think his team has really missed over the years. Is Muamba.
I don't see him going into coaching yet. He seems to love the broadcasting.
Just let me finish. I know he likes to be a celebrity. I get that. But he was a huge part of his team's leadership in the dressing room on the defensive side when they won the Grey Cups. And he was the Grey Cup MVP 2 Grey Cups ago. I get McManus has really taken over that spot nicely, but Mwamba also played a lot on the special teams. And as much as he enjoys being a celebrity, he's been very he's almost too afraid to play favorites to Argos on the panel. I think it kind of hurts his credibility a little bit as an analyst. He's so worried about being politically correct and different things like that. I love him, but I would love to see him back in the Argos dressing room. And
you do wonder if maybe they will bring in some sort of just a character reference kind of thing just to do that. But I mean, you know what? I think we'll know a lot more by our Thursday episode on what's going on in the 6.
Because you look at, for example, the Grey Cup winning team back in 2017 and 2012. That OC, special teams coordinator, was Mike Osei. And Mike Osei was a legendary Argo, and he was a great special team coordinator. The special teams plays we made with Chad Owens and Mike Osei are probably some of the best plays in CFL history with those two. So I don't know. Now that Osei's not going to step down from the head coach job in Winnipeg to a special teams coordinator in Toronto. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm saying since we haven't had a big special team coordinator, even though we've won 2 Grey Cups, I can really see that hole in Toronto. And now, as Lane pointed out, alpha talent that we've had in the past, thanks to the CFL salary cap, we really are seeing that hole. And we need to fill in that hole. Whether it's Mwamba, or maybe we call up Chad Owens again. Maybe Chad Owens gets into coaching. I don't know who it is, but I think it has to be a character guy, and it has to be a former player. And more importantly, a former legendary Argo.
Now, what is tough for the
Kimbo.
Argos, they did recently, going into this season, did give Mikey Donovan that extension, right? That's this year and next year. I still don't think that's going to stop them from firing him, but I'm wondering if you guys remember a former Argo special team coordinator in Mark Nelson. He's currently the U-level sport for a linebacker, more like an advisor for the St. Mary's Huskies, but I could see him wanting to jump out of university level coaching and get back into the Canadian Football League. And you know what? He's a former player too. He was with this team. He coached them back in the day.
Yeah.
And I do wonder about Mark Nelson potentially getting a chance to come back to the Argos.
That would be very cool.
I'm just looking up to see when he did coach in the Toronto Argos. So he was a special team coordinator in 2020, and he also coached the Argos in 2021, which he was the one who was special team coordinator the year that Javon Leake broke all those records. So maybe that's a guy to bring back in, right?
Didn't he break all his records in 22?
The 21, yeah, but like the 21-22 season.
Okay, sure.
Like that, it was the year that Javon Leake was the guy, and I just maybe go back to someone who had success in the past with this.
That's
group.
what I'm saying. Why you look at
Ryan did what he
NHL?
liked.
You look at NHL too. You look at a team that's really struggling. They bring in a former player, bring in someone former to the to the team, to the league. You know, look at how many times John Torrell was sitting at home on his couch, and halfway through the season he gets a job. And when his former
now,
team
on the CFL, actually, also too, you do. I still really think Paul Lapalisse. I know it's not the name that's.
Oh, I like him,
but that's who I would want. But I do want to move on now to we're at the halfway point in the season, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to start to go over some of the top positions in the league and where these teams are ranking. And I wanted to start off with quarterbacks before we go into we'll do quarterbacks, running backs, and then the receiver when I mentioned, then overall team offense. And I want to start with the quarterbacks. I broke them into 3 tiers. Now, to be on this main list, you had to be a starter for at least 2 games to be on this list for me. I broke them into 3 tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So it's kind of like you're the best, you're solid, you're poop. And for my tier 1, at the top of that list is Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Trevor Harris.
No.
Number 3 is Vernon Adams Jr. How are we feeling about that top 3? Like, you guys thinking that maybe there's someone else I could have put in there, or do we like the 3 being no more than 3 in tier 1?
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Although
I don't agree. I don't know if it's necessarily order to it or not, but
yeah, I'd say order 2. I think Bo Levi Mitchell's the best, Trevor Harris is second, and Vernon Adams is third.
You don't think Trevor Harris might not be better?
It's the touchdown to interception ratio that digs it for me right now. Yeah, Trevor Harris is more accurate. Bo Levi Mitchell was putting more points on the board. And I think I'm more concerned about points on the board than completing screen passes. So right now, Bo Levi Mitchell, I think, is the best quarterback in the league. And actually, he's my front runner for MOP this year.
Yeah, I guess with Vernon Adams, even though he's playing fantastic.
Vernon Adams, though, he's out of that top 3. He's thrown the most interceptions.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where it kind of comes down to. If Vernon Adams threw a couple less picks, I would have had him and Trevor Harris flipped.
Right. So I think those top 3 is fair. I like that.
Then we have our second tier, and the tier is the one that's a little challenging for me to figure out the order exactly. But you have Nathan Rourke, who's a tier 2, the way he's been playing of late, and he just threw for 400 yards. This is in no particular order, by the way, here, this tier 4, tier 2. I want to discuss the order with you boys. Davis Alexander. Only reason why he's not tier 1 is he's not been able to stay healthy this year. Mm-hmm. And that has been a major issue for me. Cody Fajardo. He's only started 3 games, which is the reason why he's not in a tier 1 right now. But if he continues to play like this, he may be in my tier 1 by the end of the season. I'm not looking at wins and losses here. I'm just looking at pure quarterback play. Nick Arbuckle, I have in tier 2. I really feel...
I might say there's 3 in each tier, no?
No, there's not.
No. Okay.
There's not. I really feel that wouldn't work. There's too many quarterbacks who have played at least 2 games. But I really feel Nick Arbuckle is playing at a much higher level. Going into this season, I think people expected Nick Arbuckle to be a tier 3, maybe kind of towards the bottom. And he has been mid-pack all year. Top, second in passing yards, second in TDs, also the most interceptions. But I mean, overall, it's been pretty decent. And then last but not least, to round out this tier is Drew Brown. Again, the injuries and some inconsistent play for me is why he's not up in tier 1 right now. For me. So my main question for you guys, who's the best tier 2 quarterback?
I know Dan's not going to like the answer, but I think it's Nathan. It's Mr. Clipboard, Nathan Rourke.
Mr. Clipboard.
That was good. You guys got to give me that.
That was quite funny when we were at the Ticats game. But so Dan, I know you're not the biggest fan of him, but take the personal feelings aside. Nathan Rourke definitely stole Dan's lunch money one day. But who's the best out of that group?
The thing with Nathan Rourke for me is not just the fact that I don't like him. I take that out of conclusion. The reason why I put him lower than other quarterbacks is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really believe one of the responsibilities of being a quarterback of a football team of any league is to be the leader of that team and the voice of the franchise. And Nathan Rourke is a bad leader and a bad voice of the franchise.
So then who instead is your number 1 of tier 2?
I just want to comment after Dan says something, but I'll let Dan finish.
Try and remember who they all are.
Rourke, Alexander, Fajardo, Buckle, Brown.
People are laugh at me. I put Cody Fajardo number 1.
Honestly, you're not out to lunch on that.
Put Cody Fajardo number 1. Alexander number 2.
You're out to lunch on Alexander at 2 with his health problems. If you're going to do that, I think Drew Brown's a better quarterback than Alexander.
In my opinion.
You guys would laugh at me. I would go Rourke 1, Fajardo 2, Arbuckle 3 out of that tier. And the reason being is those are 3 quarterbacks that have managed to stay healthy this year for the most part. Rourke only missed 2 games. Arbuckle hasn't missed a single game while getting practically murdered every time he's out in the field because the O-line can't protect him. And Fajardo has only played 3 games. If he's played more, I'd maybe even have him in tier 1 if he keeps his pace up.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree with putting Arbuckle that high. I think he's been getting a really bum rap in Toronto and in the CFL. I mean, yeah, he's not winning for say, but he is a good dressing room guy. Everyone, the whole team says how good of a guy he is.
But I also don't think the losses are on Arbuckle necessarily.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. I don't think Ron Arbuckle. He also has a beautiful family. I think that speaks character to how he would be with the team players who have kids and wife and all that. And, Brown, I'm really surprised. I think I would put Brown at the bottom of that list.
What?
I know, because Brown played amazing last game against the Argos. And last year, I thought Brown was one of the best quarterbacks of the league, but he got unhealthy this year. And besides of last game, so many games he's played, he's surprisingly looked pretty shaky. I'm really surprised.
I think he was just knocking the rust off.
Same.
Personally, I would put Brown ahead of Alexander.
Same.
Just because Alexander, we haven't seen it do it for. We haven't seen him do it in the playoffs yet, right?
I get Alexander's cocky and everything, but he hasn't lost a game in his career.
I feel like Jacob, you're not going to like how I would rank this.
Go ahead, rank him, Lane.
For me, it's Nathan Rourke. Then it's Drew Brown.
Okay.
Then it's Nick Arbuckle. Then I'm going to go Cody Fajardo and then Davis Alexander. Only because Davis Alexander's been hurt. I think he could be better. I would put that like 49.5, 51. Like that's like almost 1A, 1B, those two.
Yeah, I actually know what, Lane. I don't think you're out to lunch on that because with Alexander, I would say the same thing Dan has said about Drew Brown. Alexander's been winning, but his touchdown to interception ratio is 6-3, which isn't terrible, but it's not jumping off the page for me. And he's also on a team that's so good defensively. Realistically, he can put up 25 and win. Nick Arbuckle was throwing more interceptions, but he's on a team where he can score 42 and lose.
Yeah,
I mean, Nick Arbuckle is second in the league for falling yards. I mean, you gotta give him credit for that.
Well, and that's the thing. And he's doing it on a team that wasn't built around him, where like Alexander and Brown are on teams that were built around him.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to add for Dan's point that you said earlier. I do disagree with what Dan said about being a star quarterback. I don't think teams really care about your personality. They care about winning games. Mm-hmm. Whether or not Nathan Rourke says stupid things to the press, I don't think really affects his game. I don't agree with what he says about, that the CFL is a pit stop. I don't agree with what he says about him being the best. I don't agree with some of the things he says. But at the end of the day, that guy goes out there and wins you ball games. He puts up 300 passing yards, and he makes explosive plays, whether you hate him or you love him. He is a difference maker to me. That's why I think he is, if not, he could be even tier 1, even though you can make an argument. You could make the argument he's not as good as when he left, but he's definitely finding his game and putting up 400 passing yards. Trey Ford, that would take him 3 seasons to do that with his 37. It would take him literally 11, 12 games to do that. Nathan Rourke did that in 1 game.
However, in that same game, Rourke did what he did and made multiple bad throws, only just over 50% completion and an interception. That's why for me, Rourke is where he is. Back. No, because Lane, you just said he could arguably tier 1. In my opinion, you could say the exact same thing about Nick Arbuckle. If Arbuckle doesn't throw the picks as much as he does, Nick Arbuckle could be a tier 1 quarterback. And truthfully, when you look at the passing yards and the touchdowns, and that's what I feel about Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke, mind you, he is getting much better at when he makes a mistake, getting over it and going out there and playing good football. Like we saw that in Hamilton. He threw the terrible pick. Hamilton only got a field goal out of it instead of a touchdown. Nathan Rourke stormed down the field and tied the game. Where if that happened last year, Rourke would have completely crumbled under the pressure or under the noise. As I will say that about the donut box. I don't care if no one calls it a donut box. I'm still going to call it that. And that stadium is loud. And Nathan Rourke handled the pressure, and that's something 3 years ago, Nathan Rourke doesn't handle that pressure. So I've definitely seen growth in his game, but for me, you can't put him in tier 1 because of the mistakes he makes. Vernon Adams Jr. can make enough explosive plays that the mistakes don't necessarily matter.
Oh my gosh. Where'd Lane go?
He's just sick of my crap. But
weird. That was weird.
That was terrifying. Lane, you scared me. I turned my head to look at my screen to read a stat, and then you're gone.
Like usually, I see a person get up the chair. It's like it was like a ghost. That was the strangest thing ever. I turned my camera first. You saw that too, did you?
Gosh, you would be a mobile quarterback, Mr. Dad.
Jacob, you saw that too.
I did. He was just gone. He's the Flash.
Like I was.
If you want to move on to tier 3,
I will say before you go on quickly. I can't talk about it now because we're not talking about it, but I do have an interesting comment to make about the Hamilton Stadium. So this will remind me later on in the episode.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're in the tier 3, and this is in no particular order, and Dan is about to get so mad at me. Zach Collaros.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
Trey Ford. McLeod, Bethel, Thompson.
Oh, boy.
Dustin Crum. Jeremiah Masoli.
You think Mazzoli belongs in there?
He started at least 2 games, and tier 3 is my lowest tier. So, yes.
There, yeah. I guess by that metric, yeah.
So, out of that tier, your worst, I think, is McLeod Buffalo Thompson.
Oh, 100%.
Because he's not mobile. He can't stand in a pocket. He tries to hurdle people for no reason, and he throws a bunch of interceptions. Like, at least someone like Dustin Crum can move.
Yeah.
My next worst, Dan is going to be really mad, and he is going to he might throw the webcam. Zach Collaros. I would legitimately rather have Jeremiah Masoli right now than Zach Collaros starting a game for me. Because Zach Collaros, at the end of the day, and I know you guys are not going to agree with me. Actually, no, wait. Jeremiah Masoli before Zach Collaros.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Masoli because, but I would rather have Dustin Crum or Trey Ford over Zach Collaros today. Because at least both of them can do other things. Like, Dustin Crum will literally steamroll people running the ball.
Call me crazy, but I think Zach Collaros is the best in that third tier. However, I think Dustin Crum is the second best. I would pick Dustin Crum right now over Trey Ford.
So would I. Dustin Crum, actually, out of that tier 3, I think is the best quarterback out of that tier 3 because he can do things that none of the other ones realistically can. Yeah, Trey Ford is very mobile, but you will not see Trey Ford trying to steamroll Micah Alway in a one-on-one battle.
I do have a question for you. You will see
Dustin Crum trying to truck people like a running back. He is aware that he is not the best pocket passer and uses his other strengths. Plus, he can do short yardage as well, and I think that's important. We look there at Trey Ford and Zach Collaros. You won't see either one of them do short yardage. So I would honestly take Trey Ford or Dustin Crum over Zach Collaros just because they can do so much more than just throw the ball.
It's weird with Zach.
Sorry, where do you have Chris Trevor in all this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot. He would also be in this tier. Thank you. I totally forgot he started 2 games.
And there was one other one you missed.
Okay, so I would have Strevler. I would start Collaros over Strevler.
100%.
Yeah, I was there.
And you could argue to start Collaros over Ford. You could go back and forth, even though Ford has a higher efficiency rating. Collaros can throw the ball deeper than 20 yards. So it's give and take. But Collaros can't move.
Walker's only started 1 game.
Or Trey Ford can.
What about Walker? Is he only started 1 game?
He's only started 1 game. He'd be in tier 3 though if you want to talk about him.
Well, obviously, yeah. And then
I just think with Zach Collaros, it's just so frustrating because you think he should if he was 100. If this was Zach Collaros, that name that should be a tier 1 quarterback.
And you know what?
It should be.
The thing is though, this show didn't exist back then, but over the last couple of years, Collaros has dropped for me a tier a year. I thought he was a tier 2 quarterback last year. I thought the season before he was a tier 1. I just think as he's getting older, he's just not as good anymore. And a part of that is, too, that Winnipeg offense is just not as good anymore. I really think, and no Dalton Schoen because he's injured, and no Kenny Lawler because you moved on from him, no Pokey Wilson because he's in the NFL. I just think maybe Zach Collaros can't do it with but again, though, he still has Nick Dembski. He still has Brady Oliveira. I thought Dylan Mitchell looked pretty good this week, actually. Yeah. Wheatfall's turning out to be a really nice receiver.
Yeah.
So, he's still got weapons. Because you look at Trevor Harris, he's been out without his top receivers the entire year, and it hasn't mattered. Yeah, so that's why, for me, when people use that excuse for Zach Collaros, I'm like, but Vernon Adams has been out. But Vernon Adams, last week, there was no Reggie Bangleton, no Alford, and it didn't matter. Right? So, Calgary's been without Reggie Bangleton pretty much all season, and you would argue he's their best receiver. It's not even close. Yeah. So, I don't think that's an excuse, right? That's the difference between the top guys in the league and not. And that's why I have Zach Collaros in this tier. Now, by the end of the season or by the 3-quarter mark, could this tier be flip-flop quite a bit? Absolutely. Maybe Nick Arbuckle goes on a tear and he's a tier 1. Maybe Bo Levi Mitchell goes back to the Bo Levi Mitchell from last year and throws an interception every 10 passes and he's down to tier 2. We don't know. But right now, this is where they are. And yeah, Chris Trevor would definitely be a tier 3. I would start him before Dustin Crum, maybe. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I would put Dustin Crum in before Chris Trevor because at the end of the day, yeah, they won the last game he started, but
I like Dustin Crum. I think he's very underrated.
Him than because of him.
Yeah, I think Dustin Crum has like the most potential. I really do. I think he could do so much more on a different team.
And MBT, I think we can all agree, is definitely the worst out of those. Actually, then, quick question: who is the worst, MBT or Masoli?
MBT.
I'd say MBT so we can move.
I would say Masoli.
No, it's MBT.
BC looked pretty bad when Masoli was their quarterback.
MBT.
I actually like Masoli, but he's
okay. So Jeremiah Masoli, 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Oh my gosh, with a 55.2% efficiency rating. MBT 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, a 77.7 efficiency rating. So, but you have to remember Jeremiah Masoli uses his legs. So he does great offense.
And he's a pure backup where MBT's actually expected to start games.
Yeah, some people thought MBT should have been the starter to start the year.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Lane, yes. Some
Those people must be hanging out with Dak Prescott who thinks he can make it to the conference.
Yeah, here we go.
I couldn't believe I saw that picture of Sully in the conference final. When a playoff game first. They were in conference finals.
Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, even he's not on this list because my criteria was starting 2 games. But over a lot of these quarterbacks, I'd seriously rather have Jake Mayer. He wasn't in this list because he's only started 1 game.
The Mayor of Saskatchewan?
The Mayor of Saskatchewan. And funny enough, in that 1 game, he did throw a touchdown, 170 yards. Had an efficiency rating of 94.5. Funny enough, by that number alone, I mean, it's only 1 game, but that's better than Zach Collaros.
You also don't have Evans.
Caleb Evans has not started. He has not started a single game this year.
I get that. Where RJ Walker, like where are some
PJ Walker again has only started 1. I had to make I had to make some sort of criteria.
Oh, I hear you. I'm not arguing you. I'm just saying there are different quarterbacks.
No, for sure. But I figured like 2 games was enough of a sample size.
Oh, I agree with you.
So that's kind of where I'm at with those. But I want to move on now to the running backs. And so my tier 1 for running backs. And the first tier is in a particular order. Actually, these are all in order. So James Butler, Dedrick Mills, AJ Ouellette.
What do you have Mills number 1?
He had 1 really bad game. James Butler has been consistent every game this year, at least 70 yards every game.
Okay, yeah.
And AJ Ouellette has injury problems. If it wasn't for the injury problems, I'd maybe put Ouellette above Butler.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you feeling about those, Lane?
I like them. I could see. Yeah, I think that's a fine list.
You don't have Brady Oliveira.
I like Butler. No,
I do not. Oliveira for me is not a tier 1 running back this year.
I don't think he is this year.
Nah, he's been struggling for.
I don't care about last year. I care about this year.
Yeah. And then you don't have.
There's one guy on here that I'm surprised. Well, we'll get into it, but there's a guy on here I'm surprised you don't have, but I want to go look at his stats. Maybe that's why he's not on here.
Let's see who number 2 tier is.
Number 2, Brady Oliveira.
Yeah.
William Stanback. Justin Rankin.
Yeah, I kind of thought Rankin would have been higher.
Rankin, the issue with him is Edmonton's not ran the ball that well this year. However, Rankin has become a key pivotal piece to the passing game since Cody Fajardo came in. That's why he is where he is for me. Because when I was looking at other tier lists for this, some people were actually putting Justin Rankin in tier 3, which I did not agree with. I think he's had shown enough moments for me, plus the ability to be in the receiving core. The only other running back I was debating on putting in here, because Ottawa kind of uses a 2-back system, was Daniel Anababoye.
I was going to ask about him because
Daniel Onaboboye, for me, this is going to sound weird. He's kind of in the middle between tier 2 and tier 3. Like, I feel he's a little too good to be in the third tier, but not quite good enough to be in the second tier. I can do what I want. It's my own show. Tier 2.5 is Daniel Onaboboye.
I was going to say, I was surprised when he has 270 and Travis Tice has 227 that he wasn't on this list.
I was kind of taking the starting running back from each team and was kind of running with it that way. But, I mean, they are a team that uses a 2 running back system. So, yeah, we'll put Daniel on you know what? Screw it. We'll put him in tier 2.
Yeah, sir.
Just because I feel he's had some bigger moments than Travis Tice has in Montreal.
Yeah.
I have not been impressed with Travis Tice in Montreal, but...
No, me either.
But do we agree with that?
Where's Sean Thomas Arlington?
So I was trying to figure out if he was really their starting running back or if it was Travis Tice.
It's Sean Thomas Arlington.
Well, then he would be... I would put him in tier 3 as well.
He got 361 yards. Tice is 227.
Okay, yeah, so he definitely is their starting back. The only thing for me with Sean Thomas Arlington, he can't seem to take like 15 plus runs a game. So for me, like, he's efficient when he's out there, but he's not being able to take enough of the offensive load. Like where James Butler and Derek Dietrich Mills and AJ Ouellette, Brady Oliveira, William Stanback, they're out there for almost every play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Justin Rankin has been taking a huge impact for the passing game in the offensive late.
Right.
So that's why they are where they are. But the third tier then obviously has changed a little bit because I'm going to put Sean Thomas Arlington in there with Travis Tice. We'll put both of them in there. I haven't found Montreal's run game has been anything to write home about. Greg Bell, I have from Hamilton. He's had moments. And by the way, when you're a tier 3, it's not necessarily that you're bad. It's just, you know, when you compare them to the other backs. And DeMonte McMahon in Toronto. I've been very disappointed with him this season.
I was going to say, like,
a lot more.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's the worst starting running back in the CFL right now. Now, Toronto's O-line is also poop, so that could be part of it. So you can't put that all just on him.
But you could argue.
But you could argue, right?
The way I look at it, you look at Toronto in past multiple years. Last year,
multiple years.
Let me finish. Last year they had Jadine Carey. The year before that they had
AJ
Ouellette. The year before that they had Andrew Harris. In previous years, they had Ricky Williams, who was a legend NFL.
No, their last running back would have been Walter, who was actually pretty good.
Walter's good. And then you go back to the Damon Allen era, you had Avery. My point is with the Argos is even if a running back is not for number one threat because they always play with a dominant quarterback like Chad Kelly and Ricky Way and Damon Allen and whatever.
I'm sorry, stop. There is no way in hell you could put Chad Kelly in the same category as Damon Allen.
I'm just finishing my sentence.
No. Finish your thought, but no.
Okay. What I'm saying is they always have a franchise quarterback, and then they always ask their number one guy. But even their running backs, even if they don't use them every play because they're great quarterbacks, they have franchise running backs in all the teams that won the Grey Cups. So I think having McMahon as a third-tier running back as your starter, I think as one huge exclamation mark that shows why the Argos are only 2-7 this year. I think as a really big, weak hole. I think they're hoping to get more out of Kevin Brown if they signed him in the offseason, thinking that would have been the answer. And I still think they should have kept the Dean Carey. And I think Toronto would be better if their Ricky Williams was healthy the whole time.
Merriam Williams, not Ricky Williams.
No, not Ricky. I mean, because he's rookie year. So
because Williams actually, right when he got hurt, he was having a nice
really
game
good.
in Ottawa.
He looked
and
really
I think
good.
he was just starting to figure out. I wonder, though, with them cutting LeBourne, if that means Williams is about to come off the 6-game injured list.
Maybe, right? Because
and maybe that'll help.
You know, Williams' first couple games were pretty bad, I'll be honest. but we saw Jacob and I were there during the double blue game, and Williams looked really good in the double blue game and looked really good in the preseason. So maybe this year is a loss, but I'm hoping they kind of stick with Williams. And I'm hoping that next year Williams could turn into like an AJ Ouellette.
Not a wash yet. The year is not a wash yet. We'll get into that more on the Thursday episode, but I'm not counting them out just yet. But I do want to now move on to the wide receiver, and instead of going over the top wide receivers, because that's really difficult, I just want to ask you guys who is the best. First, we'll go best receiver. Then we're going to go most overrated receiver. So, Mr. Morfor, right now, who is the best wide receiver in the Canadian Football League?
Well, my Argo blinders say Coatsy, but I think you could make an argument for that. But I gotta say the best receiver, as much as I hate to say it, is Kenny Lawler in Hamilton. I mean,
really? I don't agree with that.
Whoa! Who do you think's the best receiver, Dashko?
I actually think it's Demonte Coxie.
Okay, so hold on a second. The Argo fan picked the Tie-Cap player, and the Tie-Cap fan picked the Argo player.
Coatsy is that good. I mean, he's a really. I almost picked Coatsy as number one when I was thinking like Mwamba. I was like, oh no, everyone's going to think I'm Argo biased.
Yeah, but Dan, I gotta give Coatsy credit here.
Yeah,
you know what? He's even though I hate to say an Argo. I'm gonna go. I'm like they're gonna come get me.
That's the Tie-Cap go.
I'm gonna go back to Hamilton jail tonight. Gonna get in trouble, but start saying this. But Demonte. Yeah, good. Thank you. But you know, as much as I hate to admit it, you know, Demonte Coxie is. I think he's actually having it like he's not like by a long shot, but he's having a better year. But you know what Demonte Coxie didn't do? He didn't go to the press after having a good game.
TV, bro.
Put 6 guys on me, bro. I'm gonna catch the ball anyways. It's like, well, no, you're not.
Because his numbers, Kenny Lawler's numbers have really. Originally, he was on pace to break Milt Stiegel's record. He's
now he's not even gonna get close.
Coatsy has been more consistent for sure.
He has been.
And Coatsy is a much better attitude guy.
I got to give it to him.
Coatsy
and the other thing too is
over 30 yards. And I'm gonna say the bigger thing with Demonte Coxie, and no disrespect,
you're taking my words in my mouth.
Doing it with the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Demonte Coxie is doing it with a backup.
That's what I was trying to say. That's why.
However, I'm a little surprised neither one of you guys mentioned Keon Hatcher out of BC.
He's been good.
I think you could make a case.
You could.
And I'm going to go way off the board. Way off the board. Although, if I wasn't trying to make interesting TV, it would be Demonte Coxie. I think he's a little better than Kenny Lawler just because I think he can do more than just the deep ball highlight of the night catch.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going... Where is his first name? It doesn't matter. I don't need to know his first name, so I forget it. I'm going to go to Calgary.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Damien Alford.
I was going to say the Wookiee
Damien Alford, okay, in 6 games, 5 TDs, 5 plays over 30 yards, 307 yards. He's averaging 23.6 yards per catch.
He has to win Rookie of the Year for sure.
Like, he is definitely someone that I don't think is getting enough praise for what he's doing. If he hadn't gotten injured, I think his numbers would be right up there of Kenny Lawler and Demonte Coxie. I do feel the best receiver in the league right now is Demonte Coxie. I believe the second best receiver right now is Kenny Lawler. But I think Alford is very close. And another random names you could throw in that conversation would actually be Dominic Rhymes. He's on pace for another 1,000-yard season. That's
quietly. What I was going to say too.
So, but for my third pick, like nothing against a guy like Austin Mack. He's been okay this year, but not as explosive. Mind you, he's been injured too. But Alford's been phenomenal.
After last week here,
and you're eating your name.
So after that last week here against the Argos, you gotta say Lewis has gotta be in that conversation. He's getting 2 touchdowns again.
Yeah, Eugene Lewis is good, but actually, I don't think Ottawa's used him as effectively as they should be, and that's why for me, if we were gonna maybe on Thursday, we'll do a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. But I want to just go over best, and I just wanted to go over best, and then we're gonna do most over.
So I guess we'll agree think Coatsy is the best receiver because I think Alfred's the best rookie.
You said Kenny Lawler. Get wrecked. You're wrong.
But I'm wrong. Yeah, Coatsy's the best.
So now my next question is, who is the receiver that you think gets the most undeserved love? Who's the guy that you think everyone goes on is phenomenal, who you guys actually think is like not that great?
Oh boy.
Lane?
Uh-oh.
I think I know who you're gonna pick.
No, you don't actually. You don't know who I'm gonna.
Who are you taking?
I think you're gonna get the clown book. I'm scared. I'm scared of getting the clown book. I'm going to a guy. I called this guy up before. I'm not a big fan of him. Looked at his stats and said, "Yeah, nah." Khalil Pimpleton.
Wow.
Wow, I don't like.
You know what though?
I do not like this guy.
You know what though? Yeah. Unless you hit him on a screen in open space, he can't do much else.
Like, he's played 9 games. He's played 3 more games than half the 3 receivers above him. He has way less receiving yards. His specialty is his running game. That has like his punting game, and that hasn't been great. He's been dropping the ball left, right, and center. He can't even catch the ball half the time. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his like. He gets all mad and emotional, and I don't. You talk about people who have bad attitude. At least Nathan Rourke can go up there and be like, "Yeah, this league sucks because I could pass 600 yards." At least he does it. When Clint Pimpleton goes, I'm better, and then can't even drop a kick return that comes right to him half the time. Nah.
Yeah, okay.
Nah.
I am shocked that Lane did not pick this human being, so I'll just say it, and I'll say Timothy White. After that fumble in overtime,
he goes to school.
Literally, I'm like, what is this? And the other person I would say is, I love him, he's my boy, but Gittens Jr. I thought that Gittens Jr.
That's a good
for
pick.
that trade for Sawezna for Gittens Jr. I thought Argos was crazy getting rid of Gittens Jr. and I thought he would explore the Debbiton with Trey Ford and with Bethel Thompson because they really connected in years past. And I thought this year, Cody Fitzgerald, he would really explore. And he's lucky to get 2 or 3 catches a game.
Yeah.
Another guy, I'm surprised. Dunbar's another guy. I remember he was on the Ticats. He was pretty good. I was like,
yeah,
pretty good.
That's true.
Yeah, Dunbar though is on pace for just under 1,000 yards this year.
Also, what's going on with your boy Jason Philpott? Well, I was looking at his stats. His stats are really bad this year.
So my pick for this is one that I don't know if you guys would really think of, but it's more what the broadcast says.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go Cole Speaker out in Montreal.
I
feel everyone just still goes on and on about that one big catch in the Grey Cup. And honestly, I'm not that impressed with this guy. I find he almost half of his yards are yak yards, which means it's more just throwing him in open space and then he's following his blockers. He's not, everyone seems to go on, he's this like amazing receiver, but like I would take a Tevin Jones over Cole Speaker any day of the week. Like Tevin Jones out in Calgary. Right. Another guy that I would put in there as overrated is Katoy out in BC. Yeah. I think, you know what, he's basically a glorified tight end. With a bit more speed. Take that, Luke Wilson. I'm kidding. But he's someone that, funny enough, under Vernon Adams Jr. was a 1,000-yard guy all day. Under Nathan Rourke, he's on pace for around 780 to 850. And it still isn't bad, but people compare him. I see people comparing him to Dominic Rhymes, and then I go look at Dominic Rhymes' numbers. Dominic Rhymes is very quietly on pace for over 1,000 yards again this year. Oh, like no one really talks about him. I think he might be the most underrated wide receiver in the CFL.
I agree.
And then I was debating on, I really was debating on Tim White, but I think he's been better this year. Although I'm not the biggest fan of him, I don't know if he's the most overrated. I also was debating on Smith and Hamilton. But I think it's more he just thinks he's great than everyone else.
I almost said Smith too.
But that's kind of where I'm at for those. So I think now it's time.
I am shocked that none of us picked a Winnipeg receiver.
Well, because none of their receivers are really that loved. Or
I
that
did think
hated.
about picking Dalton Schoen, but I forgot he was like hurt.
He's been hurt half the year.
I thought
However,
both
when he
bad
was
picking
healthy,
guys.
his numbers weren't jumping off the page.
That's what I
You know-
mean. Winnipeg's just not.
And hey, you know, I mean, you could argue they literally gave up Kenny Lawler for this
To
guy.
keep him.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
regret that at this point.
Because I almost said Dalton Schoen too, but it's like, to me, it's just to me, it's just with Tim White.
He gets so angry, he hit his mic off the table.
It's just with me with Tim
Kinda
White. He makes so many mistakes and drops in key parts of the game, like the fumble in overtime, and so many times he's wide open in the end zone.
He did the exact same thing last year too to Hamilton. I'm sure, Lane, you remember Game 3 of the series where he caught the ball and then for some reason just went bleh, and it went up in the air and it was a touchdown the other way.
Yeah, like there's so many times he's wide open in the end zone and he can catch the game-winning touchdown.
Drops it.
And he just drops it. It's like what Speaker dropped in a gimmick that ball with Bethel Thompson's. I get was overflown, but I'm like, to me, it's more Timothy White.
I thought about it. I was so thinking about what you have no idea.
I want to go over now overall offenses. So this is like quarterback, receiver, running backs.
Mm-hmm.
The best offense in the league, in my opinion, I'm going to get some flack for this, is the Calgary Stampeders.
Oh, yeah, no brainer.
Very close to them is the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah.
To me, they are neck and neck, but I think Calgary, the run game that they have, overtakes Hamilton because of the lack of run game they have. And then third, the BC Lions. So that's my tier 1 for overall offenses. James Butler is, in my opinion, the best running back in the league. Nathan Rourke is mid-pack. They have a good receiver.
Okay, take it easy. You got Trevor Harris, who leads the lead in completion percentage, and he's not the best.
They don't put up enough points to be a tier 1 offense. They're a very good tier 2, but they're a tier 1 in my opinion.
Okay.
So do you guys think I should? So Dan clearly thinks I should have put 4 teams in tier 1 and put the Riders up there. How do you feel?
And I agree with you. Calgary's number 1 in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Calgary's number 1. I'm just saying the Rough Riders, I don't know.
Dan,
I also think
the Rough Riders, you got to look. They've scored 233 and 8. Actually, funny enough, they are scoring more points per game than BC.
Yeah, I don't know why the hell he put BC up there. Just to be blunt, that makes no sense to me.
So you think BC should be tier 2 and Saskatchewan should be tier 1?
100%.
I don't know. For me, it's just the yardage per game that this team puts up in BC, man. Like,
I get what Nathan York did last week was cute, but it's like
it wasn't cute, Dan. It was phenomenal. And I don't know. I think you could be a toss-up between. You know what? I'm going to do the first thing I've ever done on the Strickers On podcast. I am flip-flopping.
Oh.
And I am going to switch Saskatchewan and BC. Saskatchewan is a tier 1 offense. I had in my head they were not scoring as much per game. It isn't flashy.
For just quietly doing it, yeah.
It's boring. It's not like Calgary and
it is boring
Hamilton.
for sure.
Calgary and Hamilton are scoring in the most fantastic ways.
Oh, it's amazing what. But Saskatchewan is boring, has the best record in the CFL. You know, they keep winning those 28 to 22 football games. They're not exciting, and Trevor Harris, he keeps throwing those 10 to 15-yard passes and manages to clock like crazy. Yeah, it's not exciting, but it's what wins championships at the end of the day.
Better offense, BC, the Riders or the Ticats?
I would say Ticats just because they are a little more frosty. They do make those big dominant plays like to flip the field.
Ticats have the most points in the league by far.
I would say the Ticats. I think Calgary's number 1, but I think Ticats are very close second.
At 241. I mean, some people would argue Hamilton's offense is better than Calgary's. I just feel with Dedrick Mills, he's that much.
Hamilton doesn't have much of a running game.
The core and the quarterbacks are very comparable.
For sure, just very different.
Game, I feel like a tier 1 running back versus a tier 3. Mm-hmm. There's that's where for me it pushes Calgary slightly over Hamilton.
For sure.
But now let's go to tier 2 for offenses. And I need to make sure I say this right because I flip-flopped. BC Lions, tier 2. Toronto Argonauts tier 2.
Yep.
Ottawa Red Blacks tier 2.
Yeah, I almost put Argos.
Almost debating on putting Ottawa on tier 3. I was hemming and hawing.
I almost put Argos in tier 1, to be honest.
No,
because
they don't have a running game.
But that's the thing.
If
That's
they had
why
a
I did it.
decent running game, they'd be a tier 1 offense.
Because they're not losing the games by offense.
I get that, but if the offense could stay on the field longer, and instead of driving down the whole field quickly by just passing the ball all the time, it could be more.
Exactly. Because we all agree that Coatsy's the number 1 receiver in the league, and that's with no disrespect to Buckle Up. I love him, but that's with the backup quarterback.
Buckle up.
But even that backup quarterback is second in the league in throwing yards. So you gotta give that offense credit. I almost went from tier 1, but let's put it this way: if you look by record, the Argos should be tier 3, but for definitely not by the record.
Funny enough, the Toronto Argos have scored the second most points out of any team in the CFL.
Yeah, exactly my point.
My point back when everyone keeps saying, "Oh, if Chad Kelly was back, they'd be."
No, it's nothing to do with it.
They've also allowed the most points out of anyone in the CFL. Fun fact.
No, for sure. Like you could, like I said, you could put the Argos tier 1.
My only reason not is because they don't have a running game to save their life.
Yeah, I hear you.
If they had a half decent running, I'll be honest, I almost put Mark Mahan in a brand new tier 4. This team cannot run the ball.
Yeah, I know.
Lane, how do you feel about that tier 2?
Yeah, it's a pretty good tier 2. I can't disagree with it. Argos are good. Ottawa's good. I would definitely wouldn't put Montreal there. I agree with it.
See, funny enough, Montreal was the one I was debating on, and spoiler alert, they're in tier 3. But I was debating on it, but it's like at the end of the day, they have not been able to figure out a way to score points without Davis Alexander.
I was going to say,
even
Davis
with
Alexander
it's not like they were scoring 30, 35, 40 points a night. So for me, that's why they're not in tier 2, where Ottawa, say what you want, but Ottawa is still... Their point spreads are comparable, are not that far off from other very good teams,
Ottawa's
and they were
really
missing
good.
Drew Brown for 2.5 games.
Ottawa's better in the record for sure.
And Ottawa,
underrated.
Their scoring includes the game that was
100%.
pouring rain where no team could throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
They're underrated.
They are. Yeah, I agree with that.
So now let's go to tier 3. And tier 3, I really want to have a discussion on who's the best offense in tier 3. So Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg are my tier 3 offenses.
Call me crazy. I say Edmonton.
I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Edmonton has scored
I was going to say the same thing
out of that group, mind you. But their offense has drastically improved since Cody Fajardo has been the starter.
Well, that's why I'm saying that.
If Cody Fajardo started week 1, I think Edmonton's probably a tier 2 offense.
Yeah.
Right now, they're a tier 3 just because of the overall season. That could change. So who's worse than for offense, Montreal or Winnipeg?
Montreal.
No.
I would say Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, 100%.
Because even with their starting quarterback, they're not scoring a heck of a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Dan, you got to imagine, as much as I hate McLeod Bethel Thompson.
No Michael Pinball Clemens. I know you're not an Argo fan, but you can't hate Michael Pinball Clemens.
No.
Yeah.
But as much as I don't like MBT, he is the backup at the end of the day. He's not supposed to be the starting quarterback. And when Davis Alexander's there, at least they at least have a good running game. I look at Winnipeg with all those weapons, and all I hear is excuse. And I don't think this is a team that can make excuses. You've got Nick Dembski, you've got Dalton Schoen, you got Brady Oliveira, you got Zach Lars. You have a team that you realistically should be one of the talk about teams in the West. There's no excuses to be made. They can make excuses. I keep hearing them, but they don't really add up to me. This team belongs dead last.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm not going to put up with it.
So you agree with Edmonton in the best, Jacob, in tier 3?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think even though point-wise they're not there, I think with Cody Fajardo, you got to look at the touchdown-interception ratio at a 6-1 in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, this point-to-eye total per game is going to skyrocket with Cody Fajardo continuing to run that offense.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I honestly think Edmonton, I'm going to say this here, and actually, I'm going to use this as our first ever gas or ass.
That was amazing.
The Edmonton Elks would be a playoff team if Cody Fajardo started week 1.
Gas.
Or ass.
Gas. 100%.
Welcome to the conclusion of our first ever gas or ass.
It's so gas that the gas prices just went up 30 cents, and I want to cry.
Oh,
no. It's so gas that is take my underwear so much that it's moist.
It's
so
gas
that if I had an Axe bottle here and a lighter, I would have set the basement on fire.
It's so gas that the little Einsteins have to get a different rocket ship to go to space. It's too much gas for those kids.
Wow.
They can't even take their little rocket ship. They have to get a bigger rocket ship.
I want to state that was not planned to be the first ever gas or ass, but thank you for playing gas or ass.
I love that song. But before we go on, Little Einstein's gas or ass. That show's gas.
Oh, it's got to be gas.
What?
We're going on our trip
in our favorite rocket ship flying through the sky. Little Einstein. I guess we're showing Dan after the podcast.
Or my favorite, another great remix of it in college would be "We're going on a trip in our little piece of, hopefully we don't die, get to school on time." Because I always drove beaters in college, so good times. Okay. But Dan looks so confused. So let's get to something that's not confusing him, but might be confusing NFL fans. And let's dive into the NFL preseason.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Do you remember when they used to have Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Wasn't that a nice time?
Yeah.
He was all right.
He was all right. Yeah.
Oh, why?
Now it looks like they're going to have to start Daniel Jones.
Oh,
God.
So Anthony Richards is hurt, plus he was terrible. Daniel Jones was terrible. What do you do if you're the Colts? Are you looking to someone else who's available? Honestly, I don't know why they didn't go just get a guy like Justin Fields or something. I don't when he was available.
Trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, good. By the way, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, quickly, did you know apparently he signed with the Steelers like 4 months before they announced it? He just didn't want to tell anyone.
I could believe that.
And he didn't even tell the GM that he was going to go there. He just told Mike Tomlin.
That sounds like an Aaron Rodgers thing.
That does sound like an Aaron Rodgers thing.
That's why I love him.
That's why I hate him. But
like, who's even available as quarterback right now?
Well, let me check. Let me look it up.
Oh, do you go crazy or do you get someone from the CFL?
Maybe the XFL.
No, they won't do that. The NFL, for some reason, will never. That's honestly the one thing that actually did frustrate me about. Now, I know I was poking fun at him.
With Nathan Rourke, they never got another opportunity.
Like, honestly, like I remember one game they put him in preseason. I think he actually played one game, and he played really good. I was like, wow. And then they were just like, well, he's Canadian, so we don't want to give him any credit. Let's stick him back on the bench.
Yeah. The NFL is a very clickety league. Like, you're either in or you're not. Versus every league, you can come up as an underdog, but not so much.
What quarterbacks are available?
Honestly, why don't you go get Joe Flacco back?
I thought Flacco signed somewhere.
Oh,
he did, but I mean, but the Browns have like 50 quarterbacks, and he just asked for him back.
Okay, do you maybe go and look at a Trey Lance?
No.
What about Tukawawa?
Carson Wentz?
Like Tukawawa's brother.
I'm pretty sure he's still a free agent. Honestly, I would actually look at Trey Lance. No, Russell Wilson somewhere. I don't remember where.
Jets, though, they're not going to be that good. Ooh, what about Marcus Mariota?
Maybe you make a call about Joe Flacco in Cleveland, see if they'd be willing to move him.
What about Marcus Mariota? That's a name.
It's a long name. I don't know much about him, to be completely honest with you.
What about Tukwua's
He used
Glover?
to play.
No, Dan, he couldn't even play in the
Look at
CFL.
stat. Let me look at his stats for you.
Well, laying
He
into
was pretty
stats,
good,
if you're a Colts fan, I think you're just kind of sad.
What about Cornelius?
No, you're not gonna. Unfortunately, Dan, I'm not being awful. If a guy couldn't cut it in the CFL, he's not going to cut it in the NFL. And that's
I hear it. It's falling names though.
Like personally, I don't know why teams don't go look in other leagues and be like, "Hey, this Vernon Adams Jr. He looks pretty damn good." Because they say he's too small. Well,
you know why they
Kyler
won't
Murray's
do
in
it.
the NFL, and he's terrible.
Right.
So, like, why not give a guy like VA a shot?
That's what I would do.
There's really not a huge amount of good quarterbacks. Like, yeah, Trey Lance is still available. Carson Wentz is still available. Oh, Tyler Huntley signed with the Browns. Why? There's really not a lot of options.
But that's what I mean. I didn't think there was.
Okay, never mind. This kid's really bad.
If you're the Colts, and you might have to go with. Now, here's a name that I'm going to throw out there, as even though it's not rumored. Trevor Lawrence.
That's not a bad idea.
Or do you call Dallas about Cooper Rush?
Oh yeah, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. All the time anymore. That would be nice.
He looks really good when Prescott's injured.
I actually, low key, I actually think he's a better game manager than Dak Prescott.
I agree.
He doesn't make all the critical errors.
I agree.
I would seriously, I don't know, I would have actually considered, but I don't know. I actually don't mind Trey Lance. I don't mind Trey Lance as an option because at least he can run.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't hate Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz did win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe Anthony Richards needs a good veteran to kind of teach him the league because Anthony Richardson has just never looked good. He can't read defense at all.
Wow.
So maybe if a guy like Carson Wentz there, kind of what Lane you talked about for Fajardo, for Trey Ford,
right?
Maybe it'll just give him the ability to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Colts may be in trouble. Or do they go in the trade market, right? Which I do want to talk about a quarterback that's been all over the press, and that has been Sanders out in the Browns. He played for Colorado last year with Coach Prime, a.k.a. his Papa. And played very well his first game, 138 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. Really, and mind you, he said that he wants to be better. He's currently listed as the 4th quarterback on the Browns depth chart. But did either one of you get a chance to check out his preseason game? He actually looked pretty good.
He did. Yeah, I saw the highlights.
I saw the highlights as well, and he was certainly making some plays, made some plays with his legs. He has an attitude problem. Let's just be completely honest. He's got an attitude problem, which is the main reason why he went so down in the draft.
Yeah.
But
even Buffalo's backup quarterbacks look pretty good in their game.
Yeah,
maybe Buffalo lost, but
you got to wonder if maybe Buffalo cuts one of those guys. Do you maybe see the Colts pick him up?
Well, they're going to have to do something creative because they're not going to find an answer in the free agent market. Like, I'm sitting here quiet because I can't even think of a quarterback free agent that's left, like, because actually played in the league.
Like, Lane, do you have any other options for the Colts?
I was looking here, like, I don't even know this name. Like, I know the name, but like CJ Beathard, I don't know if that does anything for you.
No.
I'm looking at some of these lists, like, there's not much, there's not a lot of options.
You're kind of done. You're kind of toast.
But, so bringing into if quarterbacks will play or not, this is now what was supposed to be the first ever gas or ass on the Streakers On podcast. I'm not gonna lie, I was just chuckling at my handiwork there. But Shedeur Sanders, will he play a single snap in the regular season this year? He will play a single snap. Gas or ass? He will play this year.
Gas. I don't see it.
Gas.
Dan?
Gas.
You're saying gas?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ass. I've seen a lot of people say that he thinks he's going to be I've seen some people saying he could be the Browns starter. I don't think that's going to happen. The only way this could become gas is if he gets traded. He will not play a snap for the Browns this year, but he might play this year if he gets moved.
Yeah, I just think the NFL is a very long season. I think there's a lot of injuries. Whether it's with the Browns or someone else, I don't know. But I think he's too good just not to not play, period.
So, Lane, why do you think he won't play this year?
I just think, it's hard for these rookie quarterbacks, and there's just so much controversy around him being picked, and they've got so many quarterbacks, man. Like, I don't know why. This team's loaded with – this team decided to go to have a quarterback carousel. They've got like 4 or 5 guys. I just don't see him cracking lists over all the guys they have.
I gotta say too, what I don't get is they have a plethora of they're like the Detroit Red Wings of goalies.
Yeah, exactly.
A plethora of mediocre goalies. So let's see who's right going into this season. Dan says Sanders will get a snap. Lane and I say no. Put in the comments who you think.
Seriously, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Tyler. Like, why?
So who's the head for it? Joe Flacco?
I guess.
That or Deshaun Watson. Like,
Lord.
Seriously, if I'm the Colts, I'm picking up the phone and being like, "Can Joe Flacco come back?"
Yeah, exactly.
But remember, put in the comment. This will be a short on social media. So let us know what you think: gas or ass. Yeah, man, that song's fun. But I want to move on to tennis.
Yes.
And the Canadian teenager from Burlington, Victoria Mboko, won the Rogers Open. Congratulations to her, first and foremost.
What a performance it was, too. Wow. I'll be honest, I thought she was going to lose in the semifinals, and she was down by quite a bit. And for her to have to compose her to come back and tie it, not just tie it, but win it, wow.
But there's some controversy from the runner-up, Naomi Osaka. I am sorry if I'm completely butchering your name.
Oh, yeah.
But, well, Dan, how do you pronounce it, Dan?
Oh,
Osaka?
No, what with it?
I'd say I'd say Osaka.
It was Osaka. Thank you, Lane.
Osaka.
And pardon, Dan?
Osaka.
So at the end of a tennis match, it is very weird how the loser has to make a speech. I will admit that is weird.
Why?
But they are supposed to.
I don't get that.
I don't think it's weird. I like it.
It's just
weird.
We're not doing another gas or ass today, but that could be
I like it.
Oh, come on, bring it back. Bring it back.
Yes. Do it.
Bring it back, Jacob.
Do it.
Bring back gas or ass.
Music. Do it. You got the fancy graphic?
No more today. But when the fans gave her a cheer, she said, "Thanks, I guess." Thank the ball boy and the trainer, and walked away. Didn't say congratulations.
And the volunteers. You thank the volunteers.
Volunteered as well. You're always supposed to in tennis congratulate the opponent you just lost to. It's an unwritten
100%.
rule. And you're looking at, the Canadian here. She's only, I believe she's 18.
Yep.
Her favorite player was the one she beat. And you know what? I think it's just a way to kind of ruin a really nice moment. Now, Naomi did later put out, I'm going to call it a half-assed apology for it. And I'll be honest, I was really frustrated with her. She's now, mind you, she does have anxiety issues, as she's spoken about before, and she does struggle with talking to media. But I do feel, how I talk about it with these athletes and these celebrities and whatnot. Their job is not just what they do during the game. They're being paid as an entertainer. And to be paid as an entertainer, that is part of your job.
Right.
And at the end of the day, she's won multiple of these. This was Momko's first ever
She's
win.
won 4 Grand Slams.
Yeah, Naomi's won 4. This was her first. And you know what? To do it on Canadian soil against your idol, it would be like if you got to play your hero in whatever sport you've been or you love watching, and your hero was just a total jerk.
And don't mind you, too, the Canadian 18 wasn't even ranked in the beginning of this
No, she was ranked 300th. She's now ranked 24th in the world.
That's crazy.
So it was way off. So you got to give her some credit.
Yeah,
like, her beginning matches didn't even make TV because everyone's like, oh, it's not going to make it anyway.
I mean, like, as much as it's not right, I do kind of understand the frustration. Like, maybe in that moment, like, you look at sometimes, like, you could look at that as a humiliating loss for Naomi Osaka, and maybe in the time you're just so mad at yourself. It's not that you don't respect your opponent. You're just so disappointed in yourself because you're like, no, and this is no offense to the girl that won it. I'm not trying to say that she didn't deserve it. She 100% did. She fought and earned every that win, and she should get the proper victory speech that other players have given her in when they lose. I'm not trying to say it's right, but I can kind of, from a human being's an emotional perspective, I could kind of see why maybe in the moment she was a little sour, being like,
a moment like this,
maybe getting caught up in, and you never know, like, these people, especially I've seen it in fighting, like, especially they do this in the UFC too. They talk to these people, and you don't realize how hard these people train and practice for these events just to go there. And
but you're also a paid professional.
I understand that.
I do want to say too, Naomi did also skip the mandatory post press conference match where she's supposed to go talk to the media, and she skipped it.
Yeah, well,
it's tough because, like, I understand you're upset, and I get that, but you've also been a veteran to the media after David Ayers circuit for a long time, and it's your job. More people have been criticizing her than defending her. Andy Roddick has really been the only one. I don't know if you guys remember Andy Roddick. He's
a legend.
Oh yeah,
he had a really fast serve. I remember
20 miles an hour, 20 kilometers an hour was insane. He could serve it faster than I can drive down the 401 without getting in trouble. But like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I think it'll be very interesting the next time these two opponents play each other.
Oh, well, for sure.
Are we going to see a rivalry?
One thing I'll say, I think it's kind of crazy. A lot of people in the tennis community are saying after that speech, she said we tire, which I think is kind of insane.
Oh, come on.
No.
I don't think she said we tire. And the other thing I got to say, too, you got to give Vicky so much credit and respect because she's 18 and she's not calling her out. She's with Andy Roddick defending her, and it was a bash against herself, right? So give her a lot of credit. That's going to be my mindset. But anyway, give her a lot of credit. She really taking the high road at such a young age. That's an incredible thing to do.
It is, but the only thing I will say is, in a way, this is good for tennis because
we're talking about it, right?
I was going to say, you look at a podcast like ours, we don't talk tennis very often, and we're talking about it, right? And I will say, if you haven't watched tennis, go watch some professional tennis. It is exciting. It's legitimately really exciting. I'm terrible at playing it.
Yeah.
But it's very
fun fact.
Jacob, very, very quiet.
Little fun fact. Jacob is a great badminton player, and the only badminton player I know, and probably the only badminton player in history that got a concussion playing badminton. So good on him.
The same day, I almost started a brawl.
Yes.
I'll tell you the story.
That's probably how he got the concussion.
We have a little bit of time. So I was playing my game in badminton, and it was against a rivalry school. And one of the kids from the other school threw their racket in between my legs, and I went headfirst into a concrete wall.
Oh.
Blacked out for 2.5 minutes. Now remember, yes, I played badminton, but I was also a hockey player. What do you do when you know someone tried to purposely injure you with hockey?
You fight.
You go and fight them. So I sprang up and I charged this kid. Mind you, I'm also only 15, 16. Because I was furious. I did finish.
Still a big dude back then.
I did finish the tournament, by the way. And I still finished in the top. I still made it to the semifinals with a concussion.
That's crazy.
Because I was very weird.
Life was very different back then.
Most people in badminton were all about finesse. And I was just trying to smack the birdie in people's faces. Because it was just funny. And also, too, I use more like you'd see all the other badminton parents. They'd bring like one granola bar. I'd have like a case of water, a case of Gatorade, bananas, granola bars because I was a hockey kid, right? So my mom came prepared for a tournament. You wouldn't believe how many other of my teammates are like, "Can I have a water? Can I have a granola bar?" And it's like, well, yeah, you're hungry, but you can't eat a greasy burger and then go there and play badminton.
That's how I would do it.
And that's why Mr. Moorford, when he played baseball as a shortstop,
would do it.
tried to
With
body
my hot dog.
What do you say about baseball?
When you played baseball, you tried body checking someone.
I did. I was a shortstop and grade 9 baseball. And the gym, I didn't know anything about baseball at that point besides playing on the Xbox, the original Xbox. And the gym teacher said, you will be on shortstop. Your job is to stop the person getting a third base. So the person running across the place, hit second, coming between second and third. I'm like, okay, boom. Like you can't
just
do that.
Blaze them out.
Yeah, why not?
I think Dan was playing Here Comes the Pain or something.
Here comes the pain.
Well, I'm a buzz hockey player, right? So, you know.
I played like NFL Blitz 2000. I was like, okay.
Man. Speaking of that, don't you boys miss the old NFL Blitz games?
Oh, yeah.
They were so... Okay, they were borderline, like... There was the only sports game ever played that was rated M, when you could, like... Your athlete could go to prostitutes. You could inject them with illegal drugs. It was crazy. Basically, Grand Theft Auto met football, and I loved it. Yeah. I will say, if someone picked up a game like that now and made it fully customizable, it would do so well.
Oh, 100%.
Because everyone is starving. This isn't on the script, but whatever. Everyone is starving for different sports.
I'm more just like the classics. I like the. I'm still a big fan of the original NFL Blitz. I've played that game so many times.
That was so much fun. It was all like third. It was like you had 7-on-7. You could tackle well after the whistle. You could purposely try to break players' necks.
It was so funny.
It was an absolute blast.
And that guy, touchdown!
Oh man, the commentary was so bad.
Whatever funny story I gotta say about high school memory lane. In that same grade 9 gym class, we played flag football. So, you know, when you play flag football, you have the flags on the side of your waist, right? So I'm going to get creative here so that no one gets my flag. I'm going to turn the flag around so the flag's in front of me. And then someone point out I probably shouldn't have my flag there because I'll be grabbing something else instead of my flag.
And that would be a painful way to play. That'd be very painful flag football. But before we wrap up the show tonight, and Dan basically already did a mindset, but I think he has another one. So, Dan, what is your island mindset for today?
Well, being Maple Leaf fans and Lane being a Ticats fan, we're all very critical on our sports team, so they play bad, myself included. I'm bad for this when Captain Underpants doesn't get it done in the playoffs again. But with the Argos, they've been really bad this year. And we say we like Toronto sports teams, but we're not because they've won multiple championships in years past, even last year. So there's a lot of talk going on social media. And Ginger Argo, who's a famous Argo fan, he has Owens hair and he's an Argo fan. So Ginger Argo, great name, great guy. He's very big on the Argos Facebook groups and social media pages. And a fan of our show, actually, who has commented a few times, Cameron. I want to give a huge shout out to Cameron. Great guy. We talked to him at the game. And he really made a post that really made all us Argo fans think and sum it up. So I want to give you some shout here, Cameron. And basically, what Ginger Argo shared the post. And he said, be like Cameron, folks. I apologize. I'm not looking at the camera. I have to read because I can't, I'll be honest, can't memorize all of this stuff. But today's loss was extremely difficult to take, and I know a lot of you are upset, but hurt and flat out disappointed. And this is what Cameron said. But one thing though that we all need to remember is every league, doesn't matter for sport, has a team at the top and a team at the bottom. Unfortunately, we are at the bottom. At the same time, though, there have been so many highs over the last few years, one can only expect, along with those highs, there are bound to be some lowest of the lows. Argonauts, keep your chin up. If there is one thing that has been for sure, is that when the Argos hit the low, they are quick to rebound. Maybe not this year, but we won't be in the basement for long. Keep your cheer up and proud. They're our team, and they will always be our team. And I just thought it really summed it up, and it was a great quote. So Ginger Argo shared the post, and a lot of people have been giving Cameron a lot of respect, and he's a fan of the show. He's commented on our live shows and watched our live show. Hopefully he sees this too on Spotify, however he listens to his podcast. And both Jacob and I have seen him at the Argo games. He's a season ticket holder, and I just think he has the right attitude, and give him a shout.
I'd love to bring that into a point too, and not to go on a ramble after the mindset, 'cause we normally just go, okay, bye. But that is a good way to look at life in general. Life will always have its ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
But you got to know when you're at your lowest lows. That's just because you need to get low before you can get high. And I don't mean high as in like our good friend Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. But on that bombshell, it is time to wrap up the show. But before we go, since it was highly requested, here you go, Lane and Dan. Thanks very much for watching it
again.
Now, was the episode gas or ass?
Gas.
Gas. Let's go, baby. Thank you everyone for watching the Streakers Island podcast. I'm the self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by Mr. More for Your Money.
Woo!
And Lane Dashing Dashco. We will see you guys back on Thursday.
Bye-bye.